Night. Okay, we're recording and we are in session for our parent curriculum night in our discussions about the areas of math and practical life. Thank you for joining us this evening. We should run just under an hour, depending on the questions that we might be answering throughout. I will be overviewing our practical life area. I'm actually sitting.
I didn't hear, but I don't want a picture. Can you turn the picture off?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought somebody was talking to me. We will start by, I'm actually in the red room, practical life area tonight. But I have a PowerPoint for you to be discussing the different subjects in the or overall areas in practical life that we're going to discuss tonight. And then Mrs. German is here. She will be discussing the area of math and some philosophy about that as well. So again, welcome everyone, and let me share my screen and we will get started with our presentation for practical life. I'm going to present. Let's see, I can only see one person. Mrs. Nulf, if you can give me a thumbs up if you see my screen. Okay, I'm going to present from here. Awesome. I do have the chat going on my phone as well, and I'll try to monitor that as much as I can through the presentation. If you have any questions at any time, just, fire them off in the chat. I will absolutely get to them. And, I'll try to answer all of them. If not tonight, I'll shoot you an email if we don't get to it tonight, but I'm sure we will. We have lots of information packed into this presentation. The actual presentation that I prepared for practical life will be sent with the recording at a later time for anyone who missed it. So again, just type in any questions you might have in the chat box. Okay. So getting started. First of all, we want to know, what is practical life? Sometimes parents, when you enroll in a Montessori school, we don't know all of the things about Montessori or why we do what we do. So let's get started with the meat of that, the meaty part of what is practical life. Practical life is broken up into two words. We're going to say practical and life. So practical means basic, useful, and purposeful. And life means the way of living. So when you put those two together, we think of practical life being life exercises that children learn in order to do daily living activities in a purposeful way. So that is in essence what practical life is. When children are in the classroom, that is what we're teaching them. The purpose of practical life is to improve areas of concentration, coordination, control, independence, and order. Order is a big part of Montessori philosophy, and practical life in these preliminary sort of teachings that we have in the classroom, especially in the first 6 weeks of a first year student, especially, these are what we're focusing on. I love this quote from Maria Montessori. The essence of independence is to be able to do something for oneself. Adults work to finish a task, but the child works in order to grow and is working to create the adult, the person that is to be. Such experience is not just play. It is work he must do in order to grow up. I love that quote because that is so true. In practical life, they are exploring and learning and building the independence that we want them to have to grow up. So that is a very important quote, and I love that quote, especially when we're talking about practical life. We all learn skills through life, and we have to learn how to do certain things. We learn as adults how to do our job. When we get a new job, we have to learn that job. So in Montessori, we have some preliminary exercises that are very important and sort of the foundational skills or exercises they need to do in order to move about in the classroom. So I've listed some here for you, and, reasons why we do those. Activities that isolate fine motor skills for a young child, and they do these activities to practice physical skills that enable them to develop the independence as they grow. So some of those examples are, when they first get in the classroom, we're teaching them how to, first of all, like how to walk in the classroom. And, you know, we expect them to walk and not run and things like that. Carrying a tray. They have to learn how to carry a tray or a basket or whatever the actual work is in. So that's a lesson in itself. Rolling and unrolling a rug. That's an important work because they have to learn how to put things away once they clean up their work. And we don't just want rugs laying all around, but it's going to teach them the control and coordination of movements, just like carrying a tray would. They will work on things like spooning in practical life areas. And that spooning will help teach them the necessary skills for hand-eye coordination, which is huge for a young child, especially in toddler. They have to learn those or make those brain connections with the hand-eye coordination. Fine motor skills, you know, spooning takes a lot in order to learn how to feed themselves. So toddlers are learning that at a very early age. And then they continue learning that through in the primary class as well, because they need to, those are preliminary or introductory lessons for greater work like pouring and cutting and stringing beads. All of those are forming these really great pincer grasp movements that you need for writing. So just remember that. You wonder why they gravitate toward cutting all the time, or artwork, or drawing. Eventually we'll learn about language and the metal insets. You know, kids tend to go back to work multiple times when they are trying to develop these skills. And it's very purposeful within the child, and they have to become fulfilled in that before they move on to something else. And we encourage that. So if you get a lot of cutting strips, and I'm going to pause and show one of those, you might get lots of cutting strips like this. They work on practicing cutting on the line, and then these lines become diagonal and different lines that they will be able to practice and cut. You'll see a lot of these in a first-year student, and that is purposeful work. So keep thinking of things being purposeful. They have to be able to do those things in order to become a master cutter when they're in kindergarten. So just remember that those things that they gravitate to over and over, those are purposeful works, and we want them to do so because they really do help in those building blocks of like writing. So those are some of the works we do preliminary. These are some pictures, just a couple of pictures of works on the shelf, and we just discussed pouring a little bit. They will learn how to pour dry, like a dry pour, which are like grains, rice or beans. And then they will eventually learn how to then pour water. And that's a careful work. They have to practice that over and over and over. So we let them practice with the dry pouring, and they can spill as much as they want, and they have to clean that up. That's another work. Sweeping it up and cleaning it up is another work. So as many times as they want to or need to do that and get fulfilled out of that, they will do that. There's some transferring work on the shelf where they learn to transfer from one dish to the other, either using a spoon or a tweezer. Again, building that pincer grasp, very important work in practical life. You can see our little toddler friend down here learning to pour her own water. This is done in toddler. They are learning this very young and serving their own food. Again, things that they need to work on to build the independence that they need to grow up. We have some stringing work down here on the very bottom right picture, some pom-poms transferring again, and stringing beads, and then screwing work. They take a screwdriver and learn how to screw, they unscrew and unscrew. Again, very important works to be done in the practical life area. The picture up top on the right is a picture of our washing table. Like, they do a lot of different works in this table. They will wash dishes, wash trays. They have some trays around here to do scrubbing tables or chairs. One would ask, why do you do such a work? Scrubbing tables we teach them in the way of scrubbing a table from top to bottom, left to right. Again, building blocks for writing, because they are going to learn to write those ways. So there's always a reason why we do things in Montessori. People are always wondering, why would they do that? Why would they squeegee a mirror? Why would they be scrubbing a table or a chair? again, purposeful work. And the kids love it too. It involves water. Who doesn't love water? Toddlers love water. Primary students love water. So moving on, another major subject in practical life that we teach in the classroom and encourage is grace and courtesies. These are lessons that we give to small groups or individual children that teach them how to be and how to act in the classroom. These are often presented as like little plays or little discussions between like teachers. We might, role play or talk through the Peace Rose lesson that we do with children on how to conflict resolve, things like that. We use them to promote positive behaviors and how we want them to see how they treat people and what they can do if, or what they can do when, or how to do things. So we teach a lot of, how to greet someone by their name. Kids get goofy sometimes, or even mean, and call somebody a name that's other than their own. So we reinforce their name is so-and-so. Their name is Jamie. Please call them Jamie. Or, simple things of how to interrupt someone. If a teacher is talking to another student or another teacher, we teach children to just put their hand on us like this until we acknowledge that they're there. As soon as we're done talking to the other student, then we'll say, oh, thank you for waiting. What can I help you with now? So, little simple things like that, how to get attention of the teacher. So that's how we teach them to do that. And those are easy things they can carry on, because of course we're teaching parents this so that you can then carry this on into your homes and wherever you are. Daily acts of kindness. This is one thing I absolutely love about Montessori. It's probably my favorite thing about Montessori versus a traditional setting. I've been in early childhood education for many, many years, 20 plus years. And this is absolutely my favorite, is, the acknowledgement or daily acts of kindness. Our kids are very kind. They learn how to be kind people. We learn how to acknowledge when someone has done a great work or is being a good friend. We learn how to be a good friend. If a friend is hurt, we ask them, please go get an ice pack and see how you can help your friend feel better. We don't dwell on the fact of maybe someone has hurt their friend, or maybe they mistakenly bumped into each other. We don't want to dwell on the negative of what's happened. We want to figure out how we can make our friend feel better, how we can help them. So those are the things we focus on, and those are big parts of grace and courtesy. Other things like table etiquette, how we eat at lunch or snack, those are very important things, and also things that help them grow and learn how to be kind and polite at the table when they're eating. So those are all things that fall under grace and courtesy, and I haven't covered them all. But like a big one is conflict resolution. We do a lot of that in the primary classrooms with the 3 to 6 year olds. They're learning how to stand up for themselves and their rights and the rights of their friends sometimes. So there's lots of talking with the Peace Rose or the Peace Stick outside. So they'll tell you all about it, I'm sure, but it happens all day long sometimes. So, and that's okay. That's a big work. Control and coordination of movements. These involve things like walking the line, silence game, and things like stylus work on the shelf. You may have seen a lot of stylus work with your first year students and maybe even second and third year students, especially when they're dealing with map work. And you'll see some of that stuff coming home later. But first year students are really working on stylus or pricking. We call it pricking work sometimes too. Of course, these things help concentration, attention to detail, because they're following on a black line of the cutout that they are working with. And they have a stylus. I have one here. Again, let me show you. This is an example of a stylus work that they would get. And it comes on a cushion or padded tray. That's how it's presented. And then, oh, my pricker. And they will follow this black dark line and make very close pricking dots or punctures until that is able to be popped out with our fingers. The teacher will often help them do that. Again, building concentration, pincer grasp movement again. And they're building these skills to write. But this is a big concentration work. If a child can complete these, you are doing great. Because it takes a lot of concentration and patience of the child to do that work. So again, control and coordination of movement. Those are big things. They'll walk the line, they'll do silence games, probably more as a group, with helping with development of equilibrium, things like that, and social cohesion. So those are things that they'll do eventually, but the most probably prevalent one you'll see is stylus work or pricking. Kids will bring those home often. You'll just see the shape of whatever they've done their pricking work. You'll see that. Another huge one is care of self. Again, this enables the child or teaches the child how to care for themselves, fostering independence, choice, action. Examples of these would be hand washing. You can see the little lady in the picture washing her hands at the hand washing station. We have one of these in each class, and that is how they wash their hands. Yeah, could they use a sink? Sure. But again, this is a multi-step process. We want to teach them the repetitive sort of multi-step tasks on how to complete those steps of hand washing. And that you might also hear them using dressing frames to practice how to dress themselves. They need to be able to put on their shoes and eventually buckle or button, zipping, especially their outdoor clothes. They will go outside in the snow. They will need to learn how to put on their snow pants and, their snow boots. This is an example of a dressing frame. Thank you, Mrs. Derman. And they practice and learn how to zip and unzip. So they practice those works over and over. And there's a buttoning one, and there's a bow tying one of those. So all the tying frames, all the dressing frames, we call them dressing frames, they help foster those independent skills like buckling, buttoning, snapping, all of those things. We have all different kinds of those in each of the classrooms. School lunch. Think about how hard it is for a child to open containers. Those are practicing skills too. So that is how they learn how to care for themselves that way when they're setting their table for lunch or trying to open those containers. So all of those things are important for care for self. They also focus on care of the environment. These include tasks like dusting, washing the trays that they might have used, sweeping. Sweeping the floor is all day long, lots and lots of spills they clean up and have to sweep up. They also do table crumbers to get crumbs off the table. Lots of that care for the environment. They also have jobs like watering the plants and feeding the fish if they have a class fish, folding cloths if we have laundry that we need folded. So watering the plants, we already said, flower arranging if we have flowers too, or sometimes they're fake flowers, but they make our classroom beautiful. So they learn how to do that. So all those things help, again, allow the child to do activities that require the process and the effort into them. So older children do these things just because they desire to maintain their classroom and make it look beautiful. And they will tell their friends, and they hear their teachers tell them, thank you for helping make our classroom beautiful. I say that all the time. If I see someone doing anything for our school, I tell our teachers, thank you for helping make our school beautiful. Again, those acknowledgements and those sort of, it's not really praise, it's acknowledging what they're doing and thanking them for what they're doing. Also, want to encourage on how you can use practical life skills at home. So first, you want to make sure that the items your child is using are child-sized and safe for them. The second thing you could remember is that these activities and routines and rituals that adults perform daily in order to maintain their environment, and there's ways you can give away some of those jobs. You can have them help you fold laundry, cleaning their bedroom, or putting away their toys that they might have in a toy room or their bedroom, measuring things and recipes, or food prep. They love to cook with their parents. I don't know a child that has turned that down And every time I've asked my kids, they want to help. So maybe not when they're teenagers, but the young kids do. Allow them to dress themselves. That is huge. Brush their own teeth. I know sometimes moms have to go and do a behind work. That's okay. But as long as they've made the effort to do that. And then also one important thing that I've noticed, especially in my youngest child, and Gabby, I've had to make something for herself, like make something her own in every space in our house. So in the living room, there's something for Gabby there, something child-sized and for her to be able to do. In the kitchen, she has a little small pitcher that she can pour herself in the refrigerator on the lowest shelf. She can reach snacks in the pantry and get it herself. Little child-sized scissors for her to cut open, hard to open bags, things like that. We often do that in our classrooms as well, so that kids aren't struggling trying to open these really hard bags or containers. So there's ways that they can be independent. So think about that in your home, and how you can make it child-sized or age-appropriate in each of their spaces in their home, so they feel like they have a part in the adult tasks in the home that they can also do. Let's see. And we're ending here with the final quote. Exercises in practical life are the very heart of the Montessori approach with young children. As they wash tables, pour liquids, polish silverware, sweep and dust, they are developing an inner sense of order, concentration, and independence. It is through the process of caring for the environment, meeting their own needs, and helping others, this process that we call the practical life, that Montessori children begin to learn how to learn. So that beautiful quote brings us to the end of our practical life presentation. I hope you got a little more out of, sort of what happens in the practical life area and why they do what they do. That kid loves washing some windows. It's helpful. Yeah. I know. So now you see the things translated. The Price family saying they know that their child loves to wash some windows now. Yeah, they do it over and over and over because they love the work. So we will often see them do that over and over. It's fulfilling for them, and we allow them to do so. And people always will ask, well, what if they just do that every day? It's okay. They have to go through the process. You have to trust that they will tire of it and they will want to do something else. And then it's our job as teachers, Mrs. German, to move them towards something else. All right. Any other questions before we switch our focus over to math? I'm almost there, almost 24 minutes. Didn't feel like 24 minutes. It felt really fast. I felt like I was speed talking. All right, I'm going to stop share here and just double check for any more chat questions. If not, again, I will have this presentation for you, the presentation the PowerPoint, I should say, available with this recorded, with the recording of this curriculum night. Any other questions? You can say it out loud or just text it to us in the chat. It's fine. If not, I'll pause here. We're going to pause the recording and I'll pause and we'll be right back for math. Okay, just hang in there. Okay, here we go with math with Mrs. German.
Hi, everyone. This actually follows up very well with what Mrs. Campbell was just saying, and I had sent out a PowerPoint. So I just wanted to put some of the works out that are talked about in the PowerPoint. Coordination, confidence, independence, concentration, order, just what she had said. You need all of that before you get into math. So that's where the practical life, and next time for the next curriculum night, you'll be hearing about sensorial. Those two areas, the 3-year-olds, the first-year students, and sometimes even the second-year students, that's where they're going to be right now to get the ability to be able to come into this math area. So I want to really emphasize those are prerequisites, important areas to go before they get into the math skills. My 3-year-olds are taking some of the math. They see some of the older students doing it, so they want to do it. So I have math materials that are available to them too. So those are my first. It's designed to be sequential and sometimes parallel work. The first stuff we work on is the 1 to 10. I'm there, yeah.
Yep.
1 to 10. And just like you'll hear next time, we have sandpaper numbers. Again, Montessori is all tactile and kinesthetic and being able to concrete, being able to hold it. So we do numbers, and it's real important that they know how to rote count, but that doesn't always mean they know what the number means actually. So we do the numbers this way by feeling it and learning the name. And then we go into even a prerequisite over here. Can you
Okay,
see
yep,
this one?
I will make sure we
This
can.
one is just black and white, just dots. And some of the youngest students just put an object on each dot. And then because they know how to rote count, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they can match it with numbers. So this is one of the beginning skills too. That 1-to-1 ratio, the 1-to-1 correspondence is very, very important in math. And then this is one that a lot of them are doing too. This is the spindle box. This is an old Montessori work. This is an original sort of work that she designed. Again, it's feeling, and it's putting 1 in and 2, and then I'll get the 3. We have a whole box. 1, 2, actually, let me do that again. What we've been doing more is 1, 2, 3 to make sure, and 1, 2, 3.
Mhm.
I have a little fellow today. He didn't know what this was, but I could say, well, count it up. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he'd know 5 because he knows his rote numbers, and then he can put the 5 in. So, and also Montessori has control of error. If they have any leftovers in here at the end, then they need to go check it because they shouldn't have any leftovers. That's a wonderful thing that she's put into most of her works, that control of error, that they can check it themselves, that the teacher isn't saying, oh, you did that wrong. You
Yeah.
need to do that again. It's really independent. We're trying to teach them what you heard over in Practical Life to be independent that way.
Mhm.
So we're continuing. This is counters and numbers. All the classrooms have something like this. It might not look exactly like it, but all the classrooms have the works I'll be showing you, something that's similar to it to teach those skills. But this is putting numbers in order. This is harder now because it's separated. And then we're counting out the counters. Sometimes you'll see the counters like this. I do it here like that. So there's some little differences that way, but we do, and then eventually they do evens and odds. So we use this work for lots of different things. So they might do it several times, lots of times, and learn different things for that. Over here,
Okay.
this is one of our big works. And you'll see the red rods. You'll see some pictures of the kids holding the red rods. Again, that's sensorial. This is math. They need to be able to control, because you can imagine with 15 kids in the room carrying something like this around can be very dangerous. So to be able to do math work, we need to be able to take care of our friends and not knock them over the head. So we carry that, and we learn how to carry it sensorially, and then we learn to use it this way. So red rods there, red and blue rods here. And this is in order, and you can see it's designed to be just one more, and they learn that too. So it's really neat, that control of error too, again. And they can see if they're stepping up, if one is wrong, if they're going down, then they need to redo that again too.
Yeah.
I'm going to mix a little bit here. I just mixed it here. This would be a higher level skill. So now we've used the red and blue rods, and now we're adding with it. We can add with the big ones, but now we call them the table red and blue rods. And this would be like 6 and 2. You put it together, and then they count it out and get 8 that way. So you can see we're building on where we've learned this way, and now we're using the material to even add now. So we've gone from the 1 to 10 to adding that way. After they've learned 1 to 10, then there's two different branches in the room. One branch is linear and one branch is decimal. So I'm going to show you the linear branch here. And I mixed a lot of works in here. And you can look at some of the descriptions in the PowerPoint. This again is that 1 to 10, and it's color coordinated. All every time they see a 1, except for some of the golden beads, it's always going to be red. Am I doing the red?
Yep, you are.
Every time they see 4, it's going to be yellow. So that's a way for them to automatically know what the number is too. And that's a good skill there. So this is 1 to 10. Once they've learned some of these, then they can again do something like adding. And we'll have cards, not exactly like this. I made one up tonight because I don't have the cards in my room right now because no one's working quite yet on that. So we have 9 and 1, and we put it together and it's 10. And so that's another, using those beads from, now we have 2 sets of the beads and we're adding. Another one is skip counting. So this is called a cube of the numbers, and this is a square of the numbers. This is the square of 6. And they have to count them out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they put a, I probably shouldn't have picked purple. It has a 6 on it. It's really hard to see the 6. So they have to count up, and they learned that this chain of 6 makes a square, and they can, and then the square at the end, again, it's a kind of control of error. I love how that works there.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's the magic of it.
the magic of it, oh, here. I did it too fast. I need to be more slow. Montessorians are slower and I'm too fast. And then we put it on there and it matches that way. So, and this is the cube here. So if you put all these together, these are the squares. And if you look real, see right here, it's a big circle. Every big circle gets a square. It's just, she did a great job in really making it easier for the child to understand. And also the numbers are bigger here. They're wider that way. So again, that makes a square of 3. I'm sorry, cube of 3, a cube of 3. All right, so that's the linear part. And here's some operations again. Oh, this is a linear too, right over here.
Yeah.
But we've done, this is adding lots of numbers. This is a snake game. And so what they do for this is they count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They take the 10 off. They learn that this is a 10 bead, a 10 bar. It's a 10 bar. So they substitute these. And then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are all 10s. Now they can have it where it's not all making groups of 10. And then they have to do exchanging, but this is the first time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then they would learn that it's 10, 20, 30, that this number equals 30. So it's called the snake game. This is presented different ways in different classrooms, but this is a subtraction board, a little bit more abstract, but we have 7 minus 2 equals 5. This is a way for them to memorize addition facts because it's easy. It's not a lot of work. They don't necessarily have to do the paperwork. You might not see a lot of the paperwork come home, but they can practice all different sorts of numbers, 8, take away, whatever they want. So they could explore with this. Or they could also, I also set up, in my room, I set up problem solving for them too. So they could do that. 8 take away 1 is 7. So it's an easy way. Again, they can see it easily there, and it's a way for them to memorize. All right, some more linear. And this is learning the teens. The teens are probably one of the hardest things to learn, I find, in the math area. So we have, again, that 10 bar. In that bead. So 1 10 bar and 1 unit, 1 10 bar, 1 unit, 1 10 bar, 2 units, 12, 11, and 12. And then they continue on. In some of the classrooms, they have these separated. Mine are connected here, but there's different ways to do it that way. So they could even put them in different order too. Mine is just that. This is not linear, but this is hundreds, the 100 board. Again, we have a control. So a lot of the Montessori materials you'll see have a control that they can have. And when they don't need the control anymore, they don't use it. But right now, they can control this by going here. And then what's the next number? 5. And they look down here for the number 5. We have these, again, in groups of 10. But once they get really good, they can mix them all up. And then they have to put them in order that way. So it can be, all of this work can be more challenging. This is the other area of math here. This is the decimal system. Big work, big work. On the front page of your PowerPoint, you see a little girl, she set up the 45 layout, we call it, or bird's eye view. They have different names for it. And it's just a wonder. It's what the public schools use in a different way too. They use it in different ways. This is, here, I'll start here. This is why your 3-year-olds need to be able to pick up things carefully, because you can see the bead, and you can imagine with well, 100 beads or what happens with them. So they need to be able to hold that. So this is 1 unit. If you hear your child saying 1 unit, 10 bar and 100 square, because it's a square. And then when we have 10 of these together, it makes 1,000 cubed. And this is the bead. We don't have all of these, but we substitute it for a wooden one here when we're starting to use our 45 layout. But for introductory purposes, they feel this, it's heavy. So again, that kinesthetic part of Montessori, and they can feel the beads, they can see the 10 bars in here, and they can see the units in here. So it really is impactful that way visually too.
And you can see the difference in the cube versus the wooden cube. It's just easier to stack, as you can see. That's better for stacking.
Yeah, and much cheaper.
Yeah,
So
much cheaper.
much cheaper. So they do a 45 layout, they learn the numbers. We use this in lots and lots of different ways. We do fetching, and different teachers might call it different things. We have this tray, we'll put out a number. I'm gonna just use this number right here. We'll just say at the beginning, go get 3,000, go get 400 and come back. So we do that. This I've set up here for an addition problem. So this is an addition problem with 3,431, 1,345. And what they would do here is they would bring the numbers down, add them up. This is adding. So again, very concrete. And they would add those up, and I didn't have my big number. And then they would add, my big number is here, 3, yep. So they would add them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they would find the 6 in here. And then they would add 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Now, one of the other things is sometimes they aren't saying 70. They're going 1, 10, 2, 10, 3, 10, 4, 10, 5, 10, 6, 10, 7, 10, which at the
Yes,
beginning, that's
correct.
what they
Yep.
might learn. So they would put 7 tens. They know
Yep.
this. Again, this is a blues are 10s. Again, a color visual to give them cues on what they're working on. And then we have 400 and 300, which again, it's a 700. The 10s might be a little harder. The 100s are easy. Once they've learned 1 to 10, we sometimes introduce this into it because all they need to know is 1 to 10 on this, because it's 1 bead, it's 3 10s, it's 400s. So we're working with big numbers that way. And then 3,000 and 1,000 would be the green 4,000. So it depends on where they're at, what they're interested in.
And then Mrs. German, do you stack it up? I learned in my training stacking it up, like making it look like 4,776.
Oh,
Do you
like
do that?
this. Oh, yeah, that's magic.
Yeah, that's magic.
We
That's
call
like
it
magic slide. We
Magic
used to call it
We go, yeah, it's like this.
That.
At
Then it
the
shows
end.
the real number. Yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah,
That's how I did
it's really fun to do if they do like that. They like to see.
Yeah,
And
the magic
again,
slide.
it's
get
control
closer
of
so you can
error,
see it. Yep,
because if they have it all together here, it works.
yep, it's,
So
that's magic.
I'm going to go ahead, and this is a very abstract way. It's the same number.
Mhm.
The 10s are the same as what it was before, but this is called the stamp game. So that's another way when they're going more abstract, they no longer have this visual concrete, and now they've changed the 1,000 in for just a number here.
Yep, moving toward the abstract.
Yeah, moving towards the abstract. Okay, and then so some additional works we have in the room. Oops, they fell off. I didn't put all the clock together. I just put 1 o'clock there, but we have clocks in the room. And right here, you can see we have boards that they can match it. It's a 2-part card.
Mhm.
So they have 1 o'clock, and then they can put the 1 o'clock there. And so we talk about the longhand and the shorthand. So the analog clock. So, and this is multiplication. And I borrowed it from the kindergarten because right now I'm not on multiplication. I will be in the future. But right now I'm not. So this is 4 groups of 3. So I have 1 group, 2 group, 3 group, and then I'm going to add again. You can see why those 3-year-olds need to be able to pick up these itty bitty pins of grass there. So, and then they can count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they can get the, yeah.
4 taken 3 times, I should
Times.
say.
Well, 3 or the,
Yeah, 3 taken, whatever.
yeah. So,
Either way.
so that's another, a little bit more getting abstract, but you can still feel it. They can do that. And then, in the rooms we have, fractions. This is one way we have fractions. Also, we have the fraction Skittles. Let me get just a Skittle, 1 Skittle. So this is the half, since I have the halves out. These are Skittles. If you hear Skittle names, that's what they're talking about. Skittles. We're not doing candy in here. So we have 1/2 and 1/2 makes a whole there. They have fraction metal insets, and they can again explore. A lot of Montessori work is exploring the work, and they can see that 2/4 equals 1/2, something like that. And we have a whole set of these going into up to 1/10. So I'm trying to think what other, so where are we at? Oh,
We're-
we're just really fast.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's how I felt too, but.
I talked too fast. One of the things I sent also is this thing right here. It's called Some Tips for Using Math in Real Life Situations with Your Child. It's supposed to be a trifold, so that's why it might look a little silly. But it just has ideas that you probably use in your home already. There's what we do in Montessori too. During our circle time, we do our calendar. We do songs. You'll be hearing 5 little pumpkins sitting on a gate. The first one said, "Oh my, it's getting late." The second one said, so we're using like counting that way or ordering the numbers that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I caught a fish alive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I threw him back again. Again, we're going over those numbers. A lot of the work we do is just through that way. And you do a lot of that, I know, at night, by singing or doing books. Some of the books I put down as references. And again, we use a lot in classroom, but 10 apples on top, and we have a fish eyes. We did about counting that way. So a lot of those things you can do at home. What other things?
What you already said, what comes first, second, third, like.
Yeah, that
that's
order,
again,
ordinal numbers. Yeah, ordering it. And we do that getting a line too. So, and we do the calendar, and in our classroom, we count out the days. So we're doing that rote counting again. Sometimes today we skip counted because we were talking, we have some puzzles that are not Montessori, but some puzzles that are cut up, and at the bottom they have some, we're doing 2, 4, 6, 8. They put the puzzle together that way. So we started doing it on the calendar that way. I'm trying to think. I did not show you everything that we do in the Montessori classroom.
There would be so many things.
It's a lot of things.
But these are
I'm
the
trying to,
main, like, you know, this is the main subject matter, like each section of the, like you said, linear counting,
Right.
decimal system. You showed the majority.
little bit
that,
of
you know,
it.
Like the main focuses of those.
we,
Any questions,
yeah.
anyone, please type them in the chat. Go ahead, Mrs. Derman, you had something
yeah,
else.
mystery numbers is one of the things. Sometimes, or we do movement in the classroom. So it will be, look at this number, go get me that many number. And then they have to keep that in their head. So that is a skill that they're learning too. So that's something you can work on at home if you want to play games with them that way. That's a skill that to keep a number in your head and not to carry the number with you to go get it is a skill that we do. We do memory game where they play with partners, and they'll take a card and they'll look at it, and then they'll put that many out for their partner to count. And then they say, yep, you were right. So that sort of thing on there. Any questions? I talked too fast. I'm sorry.
No, we're trying to get it all in within an hour, and
Yeah.
we've done that.
I'm trying to think of what I've missed. I did the thinking.
I do not see any questions in the chat right now, but that's okay. There may be ones later. And of course, anytime you have a question, ask your child's teacher. If you don't know what your child is talking about, we will be happy to explain that to you. or why we do something. Your teacher will be able to tell you at length what they're dealing with. At our spring conference, we talk more about the academic sort of where they're at, what are they working on? What things are they choosing in math and language and all the different areas of the classroom. But this is giving you a great overview of the things that they will begin and sort of the ending of math when they're in the 3 to 6 class. Again, your child doesn't have to be at a certain point or a certain place in the math curriculum by a certain age. So just know that it's following the child and when they're ready, because some kids aren't even ready to touch numbers at 3 years old. They have no interest in numbers at 3 years old. And that is perfectly fine. They might have their explosion in language, and that's okay. So when we see the interest, we're all over it, and we are introducing them to things when they're ready. So if your child is not into numbers yet, don't worry. Don't be afraid. Trust the process. It will happen naturally. Checking the chat one more time. Mrs. German, did you have anything else?
If you have questions, we sent that book home. When you signed it up for Montessori, the book is.
Oh, yes. The parent's guide.
The Parent's Guide.
The parent's guide. to
It
Montessori
has
classroom.
pictures in there. It has all of the things, most of the things I was talking to about. So that gives you a good visual. You'll see pictures coming home and it tags. In Transparent Classroom, you're supposed to be able to, if it's tagged with a blue one, you can go onto the blue and it'll give you some more information about the works. You can always talk to us, but if you want to just do it on your own in Transparent Classroom, they'll give you some more information about those, what they're working on and why they're working on it.
Yes, those are very helpful, by the way. If it's hyperlinked, like she said, if it says like number rods and you see that next to the child's picture, you can click on that word number rods. That hyperlink will tell you why we do that work, what it's teaching, etc. So it gives you more information. That's a great point. Okay, so it looks like we're about 10 minutes to 8. We don't have any chat questions, but we will not keep you any longer. Again, this recording will be sent out to those who may not have made it, or just if you want to rewatch it, it'll be one of our YouTube recordings and ready for you. And I'll also send my PowerPoint for Practical Life. And again, thank you for joining us this evening for the Parent Curriculum Night. We hope to see you November 16th for the areas of language and sensorial.
They link.
They
so
link.
please-
Yes, they do. Please come so that you can learn about the building blocks for those, because they go hand in hand. So we're excited to teach you about those as well. Okay, everyone, have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.